Hello, what is up? My name is Georgia and welcome to my channel. So if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, I'm currently doing the language assistant program working in France. And I did make another video where I kind of talked about some of the questions and a bit about the program, but I realized that there were some things that I didn't really address. So I wanted to just talk about some of the things that I think aren't really talked about as much, and some of the things maybe I wish I had known before doing the program. So firstly, what is the program? So if you're in America, it's called Tapif. If you're from other countries, it varies with who you apply and what the program is actually called. But when you get to France, you're all together, so you're all doing the same program. So you can apply for the program online. So I'm Australian, so I applied through the government of Canberra. And when you do your application, you put in 3 regions that are your preference. And then you get placed into one of these regions and you don't get a choice of the town and you don't get a choice of the school. So you have to be pretty open to living anywhere. Keep in mind that this also includes living in really, really small towns. So for me, when I applied, I didn't really think about the fact that I could be placed in a really, really small town, which is where I am placed. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that it's something that you need to think about, because if you're not open to that idea, then this program might not be for you, or you might struggle with the program. So I am placed in a town called Embrun, which has 6,000 people. I'm very lucky that there are actually 2 other assistants, so there's 3 of us all together, who live in this town. So it's not as lonely, but I have heard stories of other assistants who are in a really small town and they have no one else there. And I think that's just important, to be open to this idea and see it as an opportunity to live somewhere new, rather than having a town in your mind where you want to live and thinking that you're going to live exactly there. So you can be placed in up to 3 different schools, and this can be in your town or the surrounding towns. And you'll do 12 hours of work per week. So I just want to talk a little bit about the timetable. So keep in mind that although it's only 12 hours, this can be spread out throughout the whole week. So you might have one class in the morning, a 3-hour break, and then another class. It doesn't mean that you can just do 6 hours all in one day and then 6 hours the next day and be done for the week. So it can spread out through the whole week, which sounds kind of obvious, but it was something that I didn't really think about either. I kind of thought, okay, I'll have all my classes on 2 days, because for me, one working day was like 8 hours. But I'm pretty lucky that at my school, they've given me Friday off. So I always have Fridays off, and Wednesdays here in France, they usually finish early, so they have the afternoon free. So I also have Wednesday afternoons off. And then on my other days, it is spread a little bit throughout the day. So I'll usually have one class, an hour break, another class, and then an hour break. But that's okay for me because I live near my school. So it's fine, I can just come home if I want, I can get lunch. It's not so bad, but if you live far from your school, keep in mind you may have to stay at the school all day because your hours could be spread out. Okay, so let's talk about money. So the salary you get is about 780 euros per month. And this is like a pretty good salary considering you're only working 12 hours per week. But you have to remember that if you're coming from a non-EU country, the visa that you come on for this program does not allow you to legally do any other jobs in France. So you will have to live on this 790 euros per month, and you will probably struggle. I've heard a lot of stories, a lot of other assistants who really do struggle on the wage. Especially you have to consider if you're placed somewhere like Paris, the rent will be a lot higher. So in my town, I live with the other Italian assistant. We share an apartment and we each pay 315 euros per month. So it's almost nearly half of the salary. Plus then you'll have phone bills, you'll have to pay house insurance, you have to buy your groceries, all these other expenses that you have to take into consideration. So really, to be honest, it's only just enough to survive. I find every single month that I spend all of it. So my advice would be save and come with more savings and more money than you think you might need. Especially because when you first get to France, you will have to set everything up. So you have to set up your bank account, you have to set up your phone, you have to get an apartment, and usually you have to pay 2 months advance rent. And you probably also have to buy all your groceries from scratch. You might have to buy clothes to stay warm. There's a lot of expenses that you don't think about. So the contract starts on the 1st of October, but you won't be paid until the end of the month. So you'll get here and you'll have a whole month of setting everything up, but you won't be paid until the end of that. And you'll probably spend more than your pay because you have to pay 2 months rent and all the other things I just mentioned. So it's important that you do come with enough savings. But the thing that I think with this program is to see it not as I'm going to do this job, I'm going to make money and save, and then I'll go back home with savings from this job, because that is just not realistic. I think you need to see this program as a way to work and live in a country and be able to travel without just spending savings and savings and savings. Like a long-term way of traveling, which is kind of how I'm seeing it, because I did save quite a bit before coming here because I knew, for me, Europe is very far from Australia and I really wanted to be able to travel a lot in Europe, see a lot of different countries, see a lot of different things. So for me, this is really more of a way that I can long-term travel, because a great thing about this program and France is that you have so many holidays. So every month and a half you'll get 2 weeks off. So you'll work and then you get those 2 weeks off, and that means that you're able to live somewhere, you're able to travel. It's, yeah, for me it's really awesome part of being here, and it's definitely been the best experiences so far. Every time that I had the holidays, I've gone to different countries, I've met so many cool people, and then it's great because although I'm spending money when I'm traveling, I know that I will still get paid at the end of every month, so it's not like I'm spending exorbitant amounts of money. Okay, so while we're sort of on the topic of money, let's talk about the French bureaucracy and that it takes forever to get things done here. So when you apply for the program and when you do the orientation, they might mention that you can receive CAF payments, which is basically rent assistance, which helps pay for your rent if you have low income. But the thing is, you should not rely on getting this because it takes a very long time for them to process everything. So I put in all my documents for CAF in November, and I just received my CAF payment in end of January, so it took them 2 whole months to process everything. But you are back paid, so it's not like you don't get it at all. But I just think, keep in mind that you shouldn't be relying on this to help pay your rent. In terms of how much you actually get, I get about 50 euros a month for rent assistance. So it's actually quite good in my opinion. I wasn't honestly expecting to get anything. And I think if you go in the mindset with not expecting to get rent assistance and just see it as an additional bonus so that you're not relying on it. This is also the same with getting your health care card. So when you're here in France, you get like a health card. If you need to go to the doctor, then they'll give you money back using this card, and it's the same thing. Like, they request so many documents, it takes months for it to even happen. The crazy thing that I find is that here you have to physically mail things in the mail, and for me that's just like so backwards. I'm so used to just being able to do everything online, but it'll be like you fill it in online and then you have to take it and mail it, and did they receive it? Who knows? So it's just like another little cultural difference, I guess. So another thing I want to talk about is that you should expect to have to do things a lot on your own and sort things out for yourself. So for me, this hasn't really been an issue because I kind of didn't really expect to get like a lot of help from the program, but I think some other people were shocked that, like, if they had issues with accommodation or issues like setting up their bank, that no one really helped them that much. I would say you're going to get a lot more help from your teachers than you are from this program and the people who work in the program, which is nothing against them. I'm sure they're super busy and everything. It's kind of just like the way it is. Your teachers are going to help you out a lot more. So, for example, during the first month that I got here into my town, I actually lived in a hotel which was being refurbished. So it was a hotel that was being refurbished, and he was renting out rooms at a much lower price while he was refurbishing everything. So I paid 350 euros for one room in this hotel, and then there was like a shared kitchen which I could use to cook. And honestly, I will say that this month was one of the hardest of, maybe not my life, but definitely of this program. It was quite a low point for me because I'd just gotten to this new town and I was just like not feeling great. So I've moved into my new place in Embrun. It's actually a room that I'm sharing. Like, it's an old hotel that the guy's renovating it, so he has all these different rooms, and it's got your own bathroom, and then it's a shared kitchen and lounge room area. So I found that and ended up just going with it because I didn't have anywhere and I was kind of stressed about finding somewhere. So I moved in yesterday at around 12 o'clock. I got the train here from Gap, and then brought all my stuff. My mum, who I was traveling with before, she went back to Paris. So I've got my stuff in here now and I've moved in. It's just a bit weird because I don't know, after moving in I felt kind of like really down. I think it might just be like an adjustment, like getting used to being somewhere new and like new people as well, but everyone's really friendly. Like, they invited me for drinks and everything, but I was just like, I don't know, feeling super down for some reason. I think it's just the adjustment. So I actually got bitten by bed bugs like all over. It was like my first or second week here, I think, and I had bites all over my neck, all over my arms. I went to the pharmacist and I was like, what do you think these are? Do you think they're bed bugs? Like, in my head I was pretty sure they were bed bugs, but I was kind of like, maybe it's just a mosquito that bit me. But I went there and she was like, it's definitely bed bugs. You have to tell the person at the hotel that you need to change rooms. And I remember at this point staying in the pharmacy and like I literally started tearing up and I was like, why is this happening to me? This is everything's too hard. I don't want to have to, I'm here trying to speak in a different language and explain that I have bites all over me. I look hideous. I have to now go back to the hotel and ask him to change rooms. And I'm the type of person, I hate complaining, I hate making a fuss, I hate asking for things. So having to do that in another language, but I was also just like, you know what, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm not gonna live with being bitten when I'm paying for this room. So I went back and I was like, I had these bites, I need to change rooms, and he changed rooms, and it was fine. I actually didn't get any more bites, but it was so horrible, honestly. But I think it also really toughened me up. So in this first month, I actually met the other Italian assistant, and she was at the school, and she was also having problems with accommodation. So she turned up to the school expecting to be able to stay in the boarding rooms there because someone she'd been in contact with had said, yeah, there's boarding rooms that the students stay in. You can stay there if you want. So she gets here, and then they're like, the person who actually runs the boarding rooms was like, no, it's only for students, you can't stay here. So then she had nowhere to live, and I met her just after she'd found this out, and I was like, well, I'm staying in a hotel, if you want, like, you can come back with me, he probably has another room. And this was super great because although she was obviously having a horrible time, I was not having that great of a time either, but we were just kind of so happy to have each other and like both go through this struggle together. So then we were both in this hotel, and then we decided, let's find an apartment together. And now we're so much better. We have our own apartment, we have all our own things, and it's really, really nice being able to live with another assistant. So if you're the type of person who likes living with someone else, I would definitely recommend like trying to get in contact with the other assistants and maybe trying to find a housemate, because it makes it so much better because you're not so much on your own. So with what I was talking about before is that you really have to do everything by yourself. So the program is not going to help you find accommodation. So I also want to just add that I was really lucky that my teachers here have been so helpful. And when I went to the school and we mentioned we were looking for an apartment, one of the teachers actually called a notice board for us and talked to the woman in French. Because it's hard, it really is hard talking in another language on the phone trying to organise getting an apartment. So she talked to her and helped us get our current apartment, but I will say that the process was not that easy. So expect maybe some difficulties. Okay, so I just want to add, I don't want to sound negative about this program. Honestly, it has been the best 4 months of my life, especially with the traveling, the free time, meeting people, just having a completely different experience. And I think it has taken me up until now, even in December, I was still kind of feeling a little bit homesick, but now it's February now, so I've been doing the program for 4 months. And I really come to enjoy it, and I really enjoy all of my classes. My students are so lovely. The people in the town are so lovely. I've been doing lots of different sports and getting really involved in the town. And then this weekend I'm going to Vienna, I'm going to Budapest, and I'm just super excited. So although I faced some problems at the start and there are some difficulties with the program, and I would say a lot of it comes down to luck with where you're placed, if there's other assistants there, what your schools are like. I've really enjoyed doing this program so far, and it's been such a good opportunity for me and such a great way to live in Europe and live in another country, live in France, practice another language, meet new people and travel. So I hope this gave you a little bit more of an honest review of the program, because I want you to go into it kind of knowing what to expect and being really open-minded about the fact that you could be placed anywhere. You're going to have these difficulties because it's guaranteed. You're going to have some difficulties with the program, but it makes you tougher and it makes you a stronger person, and it makes you stick up for yourself and say, no, I don't want to do that. No, I want to move rooms. I don't want to take this class by myself. You've got to speak your mind. And I think it's really great character building, and you'll meet so many new people. And if you're thinking of doing this program, I'm super excited for you, and I hope you get placed in a beautiful place and you have a great time. So I hope this was kind of helpful and that it gave you a bit more of an honest review about what it's like. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I will respond, and see you next time. Bye!